I don't care if you've been in church a week or 30 years. I need us to be able to see the hope in the gospel. What is it, or why do we have confidence in the long-term benefit of righteousness? Now, before we get too far, I just want to remind us, church, that the gospel is good news. The gospel is good news. And we have hope in good news. See, sometimes you can forget about that. The gospel is good news. And we have hope in good news. Listen, we don't have hope in the times, because the times, that's not good news. We don't have hope in TV news, because that's not good news. We have hope in good news. See, you're not going to hear the gospel on any of your local news channels or any of your national news, because they don't have hope. So all they can give you is other news. And they even say, and in other news. See, but what we have is we have good news. The gospel is good news. Now listen to this statement, church. We have hope in good news, and that's what causes us to be righteous. We have hope in good news, and that is what causes us to be righteous. Whenever there's a lack of hope, it produces unrighteousness. Whenever there's a lack of hope, it produces unrighteousness. You know, people are trying to figure out how to solve crime. The solution to crime is hope. And the cause of crime is a lack of hope. It doesn't have anything to do with your race, your nationality, your birthplace. It has to do with hope. See, the thing that causes us to be righteous is hope. If you don't have hope, you won't be right. Now watch this. Back in the 80s, there was a drug epidemic that ravaged primarily African Americans in the inner city. Y'all remember that? It's when all of the 3 strikes and you're out came in and all of these things. And people thought that it was because of the nature of black folk. Come on now. That's why drugs were breaking out. That black folk were just predisposed to drugs and crime. Come on now. It had nothing to do with the color of black folks' skin. It had to do with people who had been placed in housing environments where there was no opportunity, no chance for advancement, no grocery stores, no place to eat, nothing to do. And when that hopelessness set in, then drugs and crime were a byproduct of hopelessness. Then watch this. In the late 90s and in the 2000s, we saw a surge of drugs and crime in the Hispanic community. And some people believe that Hispanic folk were just predisposed to drugs and crime. Come on now. Y'all act like you don't know what I'm talking about. And we've heard Hispanics described as criminals. But what happened is you had a group of people who migrated to this country. However they got here, that's not the issue. They were here, and when hope and opportunity was lost, what they thought they were getting by coming was not here. Drugs and crime followed that. Now, in the 2000s, you have an epidemic of drugs and crime happening in rural white America. It's not because white folk are predisposed to drugs and crime. It's because mills and plants and factories shuttered in towns and cities throughout rural white America. And being faced without hope, they turn to drugs and crime. It's no difference what happened in the inner city black community, what has happened in the Hispanic community, and what's now happening in the rural white community is that without hope, people resort to the lowest standard of life. Now, church, I'm trying to teach you something that goes beyond race or class. I want you to understand that hope lifts and a lack of hope causes decline. But here's the good news. We have hope. So if we want to get drugs and crime out of the inner city of black America, we got to give hope. If we want to get drugs and crime out of the Hispanic community, we got to get hope. If we want to get drugs and crime out of rural white America, there must be hope. But there will be no hope from Pennsylvania Avenue. There will be no hope from the Capitol. There will be no hope from Annapolis. The hope is in the good news. All of those other hopes have disappointed. Republicans have disappointed. Democrats have disappointed. Law has disappointed. The Constitution has disappointed. Words written on a scroll down in the Smithsonian has disappointed. But there is a word that has come from the Lord that will not disappoint. It is colorblind and race neutral, and it's available to whosoever calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. We got to stop chasing, trying to find out who the problem is. The problem is a lack of hope, and the answer is we need hope. We're looking to the same hopeless things that created the mess to solve the mess, not understanding that our hope is in Jesus. And now let's take it out of the big picture and put it into your life. You didn't clean up your life. I didn't clean up my life. I didn't start wanting to do better for myself until I had hope. Hope caused you to stop drinking. Hope caused me to stop drinking. Come on, we got to make it personal. Hope got us out of strange beds. Hope got us off of addiction. See, you can look at the news and get lost and start looking for what's the answer. The answer that works for a community is the answer that worked in you. Church, we got good news. Listen, our hope is in unfailing good news. In other words, our good news is not fake good news. It's unfailing good news. Because our hope is in Jesus. He's the gospel. That's the good news. Are you all getting this down on the inside?